Hello everyone, my name is Lilly and I'm a speaker here at Me to Talk Cafe. I like to explore things, so I've been all around the world and I've traveled a lot. I always love finding new places to connect with, finding new friends. And that brings us to this video where I share my living experience in 3 places that I've spent the most amount of time in. One being China, specifically the city of Hangzhou, my hometown. Second being United Arab Emirates, when we're going to talk about mainly Dubai, where I spent the whole 1 year of my life there. And lastly, Istanbul, where I am right now. So to begin with, of course, I have to start with the transportation systems and all of the places. So Istanbul being one of the largest cities in the world with so much population, I do find it very hectic at times with the crowds and the people, and the metros and buses are always packed with so much people trying to commute around. I feel in Istanbul, every hour is basically rush hour. Dubai's transportation system can also get like this during festival season, so during New Year's, if you want to go to the Burj Khalifa, and if you somehow manage to find a space in the bus or in the metro, then wow, kudos to you. On regular basis, if it's the middle of the day, won't be as hectic. China. I think it's more hectic during the summer times where everybody is going, because most of the bus destinations are tourist destinations, so it can get very, very busy during summer holidays. People are just commuting around, visiting the beautiful lakes and all that type of things. But in terms of convenience, I think Istanbul transportation might be the most convenient of all, because everywhere you want to go, just Google Maps, and yes, you will have to transfer a couple of different transportation modes, but it will help you get to places. Whereas Dubai, probably you take one metro, then you have to go in taxi, and taxis are super expensive. For China, I did spend lesser time because I only visit during the holidays. I just kind of blindly followed my parents and my grandparents to go wherever. I don't know if it's as convenient, but we do have also all the sorts of transportation modes that you can think of. Moving on, let's talk about something that everyone loves, which is food. So with food, all the places have great options, of course. The Middle Eastern cuisine, the Turkish cuisine, and of course, not to be biased, but China cuisine is just as good, and of course one of the best, I would say. Dubai has a very diverse options of different types of different continental foods, because it's also mainly made up of expats. So the expats come and bring in their type of cuisines to introduce it to the city. In Dubai, I usually try a lot of Indian foods, because everywhere you go, you can find little cafeterias that provide really, really good Southeast Asian food. Turkish food, I have just been eating all the tavuks and the kebabs non-stop lately. It's also really good. But the one thing about finding food in Istanbul is it's a little bit difficult to find other nationality food, but I also don't blame it, because Istanbul it's offering a good variety of Turkish food already, which is also something that I will not get tired of, so I'm good for now. But yeah, once in a while I would like to try a little bit of Chinese authentic food sometimes, just because I'm used to my mother's cooking. And Chinese food goes without saying, just every day you can try something new, and super cheap, super affordable. But in China, of course, I don't even go out to restaurants, because my grandma would take it as an offense to her cooking. She wants to make all the food for me herself, and she is a very good chef, so more of my experience with Chinese food just comes from her cooking and what she likes to make. Next, we go on to the nightlife, just the whole partying scene. From my experience with the whole partying scene now, I am 20 and Dubai's drinking age is 21. So I don't have too much recollection of the clubbing or going to bars, but I have worked in social media marketing in Dubai, where thanks to my job, I was able to make content for some bars, so I kind of witnessed the whole scene. And yes, mostly the bars can be found within hotels, just properly approved places. Of course, in Istanbul and China, that's not as strict of a factor. You can find cafes everywhere, you can find bars scattered along just all the main popular tourist streets. Even in supermarkets, like both in Hangzhou, where I lived, and Istanbul here, going to supermarkets and grabbing a can of beer is super convenient and just very easy to do. Party scene over in Istanbul, I think it's mainly with clubs. I just went to club for the first time over here and it was really nice. And same with China, most people just go to bars. Dubai, because of the whole the restrictive scene, people do tend to do more house parties, but just as fun. I think any place you go, as long as you have the right crowd beside you, you can have fun. Next, what do people do on the weekends? In Hangzhou, it's more famous for just the parks and the whole nature, and also lots of historical things, I guess, historical factors. Mostly we would spend our weekends going to see the willow trees. That's something my city is very famous for, and there's many beautiful fantasy stories related to the parks and the trees, so usually we just like to share the stories with our friends and of course try food and grab some beers with friends. There's also lots of libraries there, so I spend most of my time doing readings and just improving my Chinese over there. With Istanbul, what I hear from my friends is they just spend the weekends crying about the economy, but of course, besides that, we kind of just also go to the museum. Istanbul has so much rich history, and I love the fact that every person living over here knows so much and has so much to offer about the history and geography and just beautiful stories about the city and the country in general, which I really love because it's not as common in other places. In some countries I visited, the locals would just brief you about, maybe the food, maybe a couple of years of history, but people in Istanbul love the country so much and they enlighten foreigners about all the rich culture, which it just makes me want to fall in love with the city. And also, again, everywhere, bars, cafes. I love going to Kadıköy area. There's just so many aesthetic cafes in different sort of themes. So very good for picture as well, very good for the Instagram stories. With Dubai, because of the heat of the weather, we kind of just go to the mall and sit and chill with our friends. Malls, free AC. What a good way to save money of electricity bills from houses. But of course, Dubai Mall is one of the largest malls in the world. So in it itself, there is a lot to offer. There's of course the Burj Khalifa next to it that people might not always go to see the views, but it's a very beautiful area to just kind of hang around. There are water fountains with beautiful water fountain shows every evening. There are also very good range of restaurants in that whole alleyway where people again just talk with their friends, get a meal, get some coffee. There's 5 Starbucks in the mall itself, so we have to get coffee in the day. There's also a lot of museums, just learning about the olden Arab life there. People go camel riding. The desert safari is of course one of the top things people do there. Next, I will think about making friends in all the cities. Making friends in Istanbul was a little bit difficult in the beginning, just because English is not as widely spoken and my Turkish is still pretty bad. It's so bad that it's probably kindergarten level. All the Turkish I know over here is supermarket language. Merhaba, ekmek, su, teşekkürler. Because of the whole language barrier between me and the locals, it was a little bit difficult to make friends. It took me some time, but Facebook groups really helped to just kind of meet international students. Going to English-speaking activities or speaking club like this, you can find lots of English-speaking people to connect with. And then all of us can relate to the expat stories. With making friends in China, I also didn't live there long enough to make friends, so it's usually just my family. Again, if I make new friends, my grandma will get offended because she wants to be my best friend there. I haven't really, really gone out of my way to make friends. I did have experience one summer where I got to connect with some girls in my neighborhood. And yeah, it was a nice experience. I got to tell them about my experiences abroad. So definitely China neighborhoods is a good way to like just make friends, connect with people. I love Summit too. In Dubai, of course, the main language is Arabic. Almost all the teenagers, just all the new generation speak English, so it was like a bit easier to make friends. But hopefully I improve my Turkish so I can have friends in all the places. And yeah, I guess that's all the things that I could think at the top of my head. I love all the experiences, like all the living experiences. Of course, every country brings different pros and cons, but that's why I think I like traveling around, just to experience every country's pros and cons. I love these places. I would recommend you to maybe stay there, and thank you so much for watching this video.